I'd like to call a city council meeting of October 3rd to order, please. Roll call.
Alderman Catalano.
Here.
Alderman Jacob.
Here.
Alderman Lazara. Here. Alderman Sizmarsky. Alderman E. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman R. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman Winger.
Here.
Alderman Woods.
Here.
I declare quorum present. Please stand and join the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, Jesus.
Need a motion to approve the minutes of City Council meeting September 19, 2013.
Second.
Any questions? Corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do any citizens wish to be heard on matters not listed on the agenda? Okay, we have none. I have no written communiques for tonight. Under Mayor's report, somebody wants to speak under citizens not li- No. Under Mayor's report, a resolution supporting the retrofit of existing DOT-111 rail tank cars that transport packing groups 1 and 2, hazmat before the pipelines, and hazardous materials safety administration, and docket number PHMSA-2012-0082, HM-251. Need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions on that? Alderman Woods.
First and foremost, I've never seen this before. Why are we doing this? I mean, why do we have to pass how they modify a train car?
Chief? Yes.
I can speak to that a little bit. The Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus is actually promoting this based on the NTSB has made some of these recommendations, and there's currently a public hearing, open comment time period of 60 days that they're seeking input, whether enhanced rail safety measures should be implemented for certain types of cars, and those are the ones that carry crude oil, ethanol, flammable materials, a lot of which go through Wooddale on a daily basis. So what they've done is they've reached out to towns that might have rail cars that are passing through town and seeking the town's support for the retrofit of these cars to make them safe. What they're finding is, and they've kind of known about this since 1991, is they're susceptible to rupture, the old ones. Since 2011, they've had to build them with the thicker structures, the better valves, and the better ends. So what they're looking to do is, as the NTSB is also recommending, that they pass guidelines requiring these tank cars to be retrofitted to be safer in the case of a derailment. It's not necessarily for everyday going down the tracks, but down the derailment. So the resolution is being put before you just as a basically a voice of support for greater safety in rail cars, many of them that come through our town on a regular basis too.
Do you have a follow-up? Yes, go ahead.
So this is so that we just join together as a group and say, yeah, we want this? I mean, my concern is the legal one that we're saying, you know, this is what we want is a specification to make the car safer. I have absolutely no idea or knowledge whether that is true or not true.
Chief?
Well, thank you. In reviewing what the NTSB has said about it, which is, you know, fairly respected in their findings, they've said that this would definitely make them safer. They don't allow any of the old type cars to be sold anymore. So basically there's about 40,000 cars out there that are operating under the old guidelines and are subject to being much easily ruptured if there's an accident. We had one in Illinois back in 2009 in Cherry Valley, where there was a large rupture, about 60-some% of the tanks when they went off the rail. And then the one over the summer in Quebec where that whole town was burned with those similar type cars.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Alderman Wesley, you still, go ahead.
We didn't bring the video to see this. It says you can view a video of this thing for the people. Here's the thing I have. The cars come through town now. I mean, we've been going through that. And just to pass this for fuel and all the other stuff, I mean, what are they doing with the chlorine tanks? What are they doing with the other chemicals? And I'll tell you one thing, there's a lot more chemicals out there than dust, diesel, and everything else. So are they going to let those cars not be updated too? I mean, so I'm going to answer that. I mean, because out there's other chemicals out there that could do more damage than diesel fuel. I don't care how you look at it.
Chief?
Yeah, based upon the research that after we received this call to review this resolution, this is really the only one right now that they're having issues with, that they feel there are a number of cars out there that aren't safe. Obviously, chlorine's a big issue, but there's different types of cars that carry those types of things. This is just a 60-day comment period based on these specific requirements to upgrade these tanks. And, you know, will Wooddale's voice necessarily be the deciding voice whether the federal government does something? No. But if the majority of towns that surround rail yards, and if we were to have a derailment here support it, might it have some impact for them to come out with better safety guidelines? Yeah, possibly. So it's not a rule that the city of Wooddale is putting into effect to affect cars that are coming through town. It's just a comment to the federal regulators saying we would like to have safer cars coming through our town, which, you know, dozens a day come through, so.
Go ahead.
And my question too, okay, so we passed this resolution, okay, and the mayors joined on board, the surrounding mayors, obviously it came out of your committee.
The Metropolitan
Right.
Mayor.
My question is, what if we get one of those old cards that come through anyways that they didn't update and we have this thing? So, I mean, our teeth in this will mean garbage. I'm just saying, why are we wasting our time on this when they do it now? I just don't understand that, so.
Mr. Bond?
Well, you're right to a certain extent in that we don't have the authority to regulate those cars. What we're doing is we're saying we support the increased safety measures that it doesn't cure all problems that are out there, but it does with respect to this particular item. And the NTSB said that this is a fix for this particular issue and problem. So if you're standing there, basically you're saying we support increase only for this particular type, but an increase in the safety and security measures of these cars. But if there's an accident that happens and all the cars aren't retrofitted, you know, there's no additional liability to the city for that happening, nor is there, you know, is there any thing that the city could do about that if they don't comply with that. But what you're saying is and I think the Metropolitan Mayor said, we think that increased safety measures are a good thing, and that's why they're looking for a unified front by the affected municipalities.
Alderman Roy Wesley, you were next.
I can't believe we're having a discussion on this. By the federal government, we're not going to sit there and fight the federal government, so I'd like to call the question.
Well, Alderman Winger had a hand up also. Alderman Winger?
I support increased safety measures, and why not put our voice forward and say that we do support this? And if I can make something safer for the residents of Wooddale and neighboring communities, I'm going to do it. Thank you.
Alderman Catalano?
Does this also include to check the rail tracks? I mean, it's just the carts. Do they check the rail tracks on that?
Chief?
This is just one small specific thing. It would be similar to if the Illinois chiefs opposed some type of measure, and I came to you asking for a resolution supporting that. This is the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus saying this is something we believe in, we'd like the towns to get behind it. That's merely what this is, just dealing with this one measure, and these cars do come through Wooddale on a regular basis.
But the railroad does check our rail tracks through town?
Oh, sure,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Lazara? Yes. Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
That passes. Do have one other item. For those residents who are receiving sound insulation, bid package 4 and 5 have been awarded, and we were told within 3 weeks, they should be coming out for final measurements, and then another 8 to 10 weeks. Basically, there might be a few homes done before Christmas, but most of them will be done after January 1st. Then bid package 1, 2, and 3, bid openings are October 10th. Then there's another 30 to 60-day period for awarding, and then another 30-day contract submittal, and plus the 8 to 10, those will be in the spring. We're actually, hopefully tomorrow we'll have the list, so if anybody calls, I'll pass that over to the alderman in the ward, in case you get calls from the residents, so we know which homes are in bid package 4 and 5 and bid package 1, 2, and 3. And that concludes my report. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple reports. Staff continues to meet with tollway engineers regarding the city's desires for the upcoming tollway project. We actually believe we're making quite a bit of progress on the extra Wooddale Road turn lane on the bridge, as well as the aesthetics associated with that bridge. So again, we believe we're making good progress with that. It's also been announced that the work will for sure begin in early 2014, moving through Wooddale instead of 2015 as it was originally announced. That initial work will consist of some grading, some bridge work, and some frontage road work along the corridor. Some more details will be forthcoming in the coming weeks here. The final numbers for Prairie Fest are being compiled, likely this week or the beginning of next week, and we should have that to you in your packets. Another item, staff still does not have word back from Metra in regards to the safety improvement projects forthcoming this next year. The city has been sending letters out, re-emphasizing our desire to have Metra start on that and be on board sooner rather than later, but again, we still don't have an answer. Also, two more things. I'd like to thank Alderman Woods, Alderman Eugene Wesley, and Alderman Frank Lazara, who head up both the Streetscape Committee and the Elgin O'Hare Tollway Committee. I've heard very good things about the stakeholder involvement at the last workshop meeting. It was well received. And the last item, since we will not have a council meeting before Halloween, the trick-or-treat hours are from 2 to 7 p.m.
Thank you. We have no consent agenda this evening. Committee Chairman, Planning and Zoning, Alderman Woods.
An ordinance annexing certain territory commonly known as the Jacolts property to the city of Wooddale, DuPage County, Illinois. I have a question.
Do you have a motion on that? Motion can be in the affirmative.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
My
ahead,
question,
Alderman Woods.
I thought that this was already approved,
Mr. Bond.
taken care of. I thought we covered that at the last meeting.
Mr. Bond.
This is for the formal approval of the annexation. There was an ordinance back in '08 that, a pre-annexation ordinance where you essentially bound the future, you didn't, you weren't there at the time, but bound the future council, which is how it's typically done with a pre-annexation agreement, saying once the certain predicate public hearings and so forth were conducted and the property was taken care of, that you would then annex the property. This is the formal annexation of that property. So I agree, it's a perfunctory item. It's a ministerial task that the board's performing at this juncture because you really have no choice in the matter. There was a provision in the previous annexation agreement that was executed on June 5th, 2008, that provided that, consistent with the terms of the pre-annexation agreement, the city council will pass and approve the ordinance annexing the property, provided all aforesaid public hearings have been conducted, and those have been conducted. So,
Well, then it sounds
You have a
passed.
follow?
So once again, why am I here?
well, you have to formally approve it.
But you just told me that that was done already.
I have a quick question.
Preordained.
I also heard the previous mayor and the clerk had already signed this paperwork,
Correct.
so Go ahead, Mr. Bond.
Yeah, and we don't use pre-annexation agreements very often anymore. What you do, because you are binding a future council, that's what it amounts to, if certain requirements are done. Generally, pre-annexation is done because there is not contiguity, in other words, a connection to the city boundaries or other reasons. But what it does is it's a two-step process. You have a pre-annexation agreement where the council at the time says, we are going to, when the time comes, whether the property's adjacent to or connects to the city in the future, or whether all of the conditions that the council put together at that time have been satisfied, then the annexation agreement and the ordinance that was passed then says that the council, the city council, will approve the annexation of the property. Now, you have the authority to determine what the zoning and so forth, because under our zoning code, under state statute, it comes in at the lowest zoning classification, which is R1. So to the extent the property owner, and they do want to come in with something other than R1, that's a discussion you'll have at a future council meeting.
Any further questions? Alderman Roy Wesley.
On this property, isn't there still a pending hearing at building zoning?
Mr. Bond.
There's an annexation request, and there's two different requests for how many lot subdivision they're looking for. That's not before you now. The only item that's before the council is the approval of the annexation of the property.
Follow up? Go ahead.
How I understand it, at our last committee meeting, and I believe I asked a question, is it just the house-only property, or the entire lot of the?
Mr. Bond.
It's, my understanding is the entire parcel is coming in. It's not just the house. They're seeking a rezoning, which will come before you. But that was the legal description that was provided for in the 2008 pre-annexation agreement.
So it's coming in as one lot, correct?
That's correct.
Alderman Jacob.
I guess my question is, once this is approved and the mayor and the clerk sign off on this, is this going to come back to us 5 years again, or is this it?
Mr. Bond.
No, it only comes back because it was a pre-annexation agreement, and it comes back to you for a finalization. It's the last step in the process. Once you take action on it, that part of it, the annexation part, is complete. It now is located within the municipal boundaries of the city of Wooddale. What happens with the property and how it's developed or subdivided, that still is an item that can come back to you in the future.
Alderman Roy Wesley, you have another question? Otherwise,
I'm understanding on this property, it may come back to us for rezoning. There's no water running down that property, and I can see where we're heading down this road. If we do annex this property, and if he does run water down that street, I see another agreement coming,
recapture.
a recapture agreement, which I don't like. I'd like to get rid of them all and pay the people off, whoever has them, and get done with it.
Mr. Bond.
I don't agree. I don't disagree with you on the recapture agreements. They were necessary in order to spur development, and it was designed to provide reimbursement. And I know there's some folks in the city, some perhaps in the audience, who have those, and the process isn't such that it automatically guarantees that reimbursement of those funds if someone never taps into that system. But what you have before you is not whether they tap in or don't tap in. If it's subject to a recapture agreement, then they have to pay. If it's not subject to a recapture agreement, they don't have to pay, but that's predicated upon their the utilization of the water services, and that's not required currently under our code. They tap into they're in our sewer system already. That was part of the reasons for the pre-annexation agreement back in 2008.
All right, roll call, please. Oh, you didn't? No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Lazara?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley? Alderman Roy Wesley?
No.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
That passes.
That is to enter my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Health and Safety, Alderman Roy Wesley.
No report.
Thank you. Public Works, Alderman Lazara.
Thank you, Mayor. Have a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Wooddale and the County of DuPage concerning Addison Road sidewalk improvements, County Highway 22/Addison Road, section number 13-00174-06-SW. That is,
We need to make this upon review of the attorney. as well.
right,
Add that to the motion.
and this is upon review of the attorney. That is my motion.
I second.
Any questions on that? Alderman Eugene Wesley?
Will this project get in this year?
Mr. Manager, Mr. Murmas.
We had a pre-construction meeting for the project today. It will get in this year. Also, you may have read in your packets, the good news, the council did ask staff to reach out to DuPage County, see if they would cost share that 50/50 with the increased cost. They did agree upon that, so that's good, and it will get done this year.
They given the full amount?
They're giving half of the full amount.
Any further questions?
As,
Alderman Roy Wesley, go ahead.
we're not gonna get 20,000 here, or, and then another 20,000 is gonna be one lump sum of the half.
Mr. Murmas.
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes your report?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. That
Thank
concludes
you.
my report.
Finance Administration, Alderman Wesley.
I'd like to make a motion and approve the bills for $517,600.
Wait. No report?
No report?
Oh, I'm sorry, no report.
Thank you.
I jumped the gun.
That's okay. Other business? We have no other business. Approval list of bills, October 3rd. You have something under other business?
Can I just ask one
Excuse me.
question?
Go ahead.
And I don't know if it's, since we don't have a committee meeting,
Okay.
the question I have is, I noticed that more and more towns are going with their fiscal budget January to January. I would like this council to look at January to January, because what it's going to do is it's going to save us on the long run on the back end, awarding these contracts so late in the year. We don't know if we had the money, but if we do if we do our budget from January to January, and I don't know by rules if we have to pass ordinance to change the budget process from January to January, because I know Hanover Park's now doing it, and I talked to a few other towns. They find it a lot easier to manage their projects instead of from May 1st to May 1st. If they have January to January, they feel more comfortable managing their project. They know how much money they have there. So I would like the council at least consider, I'm not saying you do it this year because we are already starting the budget process, but I would like the council to keep that in back of their mind, that I would be bringing that back.
Mr. Bond, you want to?
Yeah, it would take council action to modify your fiscal year. There's some, and we've done it in several communities we represent, and there are some things, because now you've got, when you make the transition, everything is transition. So you either have a shortened fiscal year to get to that, or you have a lengthened fiscal year. So you're going to have a 6-month fiscal year or an 18-month fiscal year, depending on how you do it. And there's some advantages sometimes for contractors and the pricing that you're going to get, depending on the time of year that you're going to be doing that. But there's also some, the Brad's here, and there's some things that make it more complicated for the finance department too. So if you're going to do it, you should, give direction to staff to explore. If there's a majority of the council, I'd suggest placing it on a committee agenda to make that determination, and then have staff explore the pros and cons of it, because there are some things that advantages, and there's also some cities have found disadvantages of doing that, so.
No problem. Okay, approval list of bills, October 3rd, 2013. Alderman Eugene Wesley.
I'll go back and make a motion, approve the bills, $517,616.00. That is my motion.
Do I have a second? $0.07, right, he said 7 cents.
I said so.
Did I have a second?
Second.
Questions? Roll call.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Lazara?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
That passes. We do need executive session. All right. To review official minutes, land acquisition, and personnel, I need a motion to recess and do executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Call, please.
Alderman Catalano.
Here.
Alderman Jacob.
Here.
Alderman Lazara.
Here.
Alderman E. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman R. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman Winger.
Here.
Alderman Woods.
Here.
Mayor Police.
Here. Basically, I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention.